Hey everybody, Tom here. I'm introducing a new resource here. I'm just calling Gold Nuggets. I have just over the years in many different settings picked up different thoughts and ideas about the thing that I am most passionate about, and that's helping you thrive as a leader. I just love the topic of leadership. I always have, and helping leaders get better and feel more fulfilled and productive and in their calling and sweet spot. Thriving as a leader is a passion. So I've got my man George Washington behind me there in the background. It's a picture of him that's pretty well known, of him praying, during his leadership stint as the forming of the first president of the United States. And boy, he was in a time of great change and turmoil and all. Well, we're in a similar thing. So this first Gold Nugget, I'm calling it, Mining for Gold video, is just going to be a resource that you can turn to, going to make it available, help you think through some things, maybe get some fresh ideas, a new perspective, maybe some new tools to think about. And I just hope it's helpful. I just want to help leaders. Leadership's always been a passion of mine. So the first one today I want to cover is a principle, a golden nugget I call catching the wave. And for several years, Beth and I lived in Wilmington, North Carolina. Two of our kids were born there, and on a windy, stormy day, if you went out to the beach, you'd see these surfers heading out towards where a storm was coming and bringing in waves, because normally the waves were kind of gentle. But on these days when a storm would come, the waves would get bigger and they were more powerful. And so when you think just for a second, you'd watch these guys and they'd get on their boards and paddle up and catch a wave, and through gravity and the power of the wave, they would ride, sometimes for long periods. It's only seconds, but it's just beautiful to watch the grace of a good surfer catch a big, beautiful, clean wave. It's one of the neatest things to see. Well, I want to take that physical image and I want to tie that to the subject of leadership. There are times that just stuff comes up that we didn't create, and there's an energy and there is a flow and there is a power in those changes that it's important as leaders that we catch those, we recognize them, we cooperate with them. I'll describe that a little bit, tying that to catching waves in a minute. But just consider George Washington, and the founder. If you're in the UK and you haven't studied much, but we were obviously a British colony and things were shifting. And they needed a leader, and George Washington was the one who stepped up and became, a general in the American Revolutionary Army, and then became our first president. And things like what we're experiencing right now in the COVID-19 coronavirus, really health global pandemic crisis, is a situation that came up like this whole independence movement that happened for George Washington. You didn't create it. You didn't probably even maybe know it was coming. Maybe he did. I don't know. But for sure, we didn't know 8 to 10 weeks ago, even 8 weeks ago, the level of the shift and the change and the movement and the energy, and even the emotion and the anxiety that was going to be coming through this crisis. I was just in the UK for several weeks and with Beth, and we were traveling around, having a glorious time, seeing things. Within a week that we got back, they started to limit flights back to the United States and began to shut down travel from Europe. So sometimes things just come up like a storm, if you will. My surfers back in Wilmington, and I know I want to respect the various leadership wirings that we have. We're not all super duper risk takers, but I want you to consider that regardless of your personality, that when a wave comes, we need to catch it. We need to grab our surfboard, put on our wetsuit, and run towards the change. So let me unpack that a little bit. things like we're experiencing right now create a lot of energy, both negative and positive. They create a lot of anxiety and stress and concern about finances and personal health and adequacy. Like, do I have the ability? Do I have the gifts to navigate, this wave that's in front of us? These epic changes. There's all that, and then there's the whole just sense of will this ever be the same? And you're almost grieving this, maybe whatever it was, a peaceful or good life that you had and how things used to be. So you might be having all the emotional stress of change plus grieving what was. And that emotions can kind of shut us down. It can make us just what we would call in the military analysis paralysis. And you could look at all the news and all the data and all the facts and just be paralyzed by the enormity of the waves that are coming. And I would say this thing right now is just like a global storm, if you will. But I want to turn it from a destructive like tsunami that'll going to crush us, from a leadership standpoint, to think of it as an opportunity, to think of it as a chance to catch a wave, to get on your surfboard, turn towards where the wave is headed, get on your board, start, it does take some energy on our part to paddle towards the wave and orient ourselves toward the wave, and then jump up on and see and navigate where the power of this wave will take you. So that's the nugget today, to catch waves, that there are times and divine windows of opportunity that we as leaders need to press in. We need to be awake. We need to be alert and discover what God is doing in this, how He's wanting us to grow, what He's wanting to do in our organization and the people that we lead. So there may be things in what I'm getting ready to share that require you, when you catch a wave, to learn a skill that you've never learned. It might have to do with digital programming on the web to run your business or make sales, or my daughter's been doing dance because she's a dance instructor, and my son leads a studio, and my daughter-in-law, they're doing dance instruction online. Everything's shifted online. Maybe you don't know anything about that. Well, in this case, for your job, you might have had to shift. But I want you to think more broadly. When a shift is coming, instead of just doing the minimum, what if you catch the wave and see what everything that God might want to lead you into through the energy that's in the wave? It may be a new skill. It may be a new mindset around what you've been doing for many years. Times like these cause us to not just barely get by. It causes us to say, what is going to be completely different about leading in this next season that's different from what was? Many people, and I believe this with all my heart, are saying our world's going to be permanently different. I don't know how that's going to affect you in your unique leadership setting, but it'll be different than it's ever been. Some things amazingly positive out of that. I heard Mark Cuban say on one leadership podcast that some entrepreneurs are going to emerge out of this and develop the next technology, the next products and systems that help people. And he's saying there'll be 25 to 50 new companies or products that change the world. Think about that, out of this change. I would say also, I've read other places, there's going to be a significant number of either businesses, churches, organizations who struggle or close because it's so difficult, or because they lack either the wherewithal or the skills or the energy to make a shift. So there is amazing potential for growth and development, which is my passion, helping leaders grow, helping you grow. There's so much potential right now in a change of like what we're experiencing. And I'm not minimizing that it's going to be simple or easy. So let's talk about change for a minute as a leader. There's a very common numerical distribution curve on leadership. And it begins with this, that there are this small 1 to 3% people way out in the front of things that are changing something, like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates in the computer industry, that are just way out in front of the wave and are paving the way. Most of us aren't in that category. Some of us may be, but there's a handful of us that are going to be those 25 to 50 people, is what Mark Cuban was saying, is going to change our world and leadership in whatever your field is, in a significant way. From there's this 20, maybe 3%, 4% to 25% that are going to be what's called early adopters. And those folks, they're not going to pave the way, but they're leaning towards what's coming, and they're going to pick up a change. They're going to run with their surfboards, try things out, jump on, and fall down and get up, because in their personality and their wiring, they may not know how to create the next big, platform like a personal computer or an iPhone, but they are going to, in their way, pivot their behaviors, their actions, learn new things, and pick up whatever's needed to surf with the new wave that's coming. And then in the middle there, about 50%, the big majority, or what they would call settlers. If the early Steve Jobs and folks are the pioneers, the Daniel Boones, and the others are the early adopters that are following Daniel Boone, they're not going to change quickly, and maybe that's you. You want to test things out. You want to make sure things are proven and ready and solid before you put your toes out there, on the ice, or before you want to take 25 classes on surfboards and research, all the physics and dynamics and take it really slow. That's fine if that's how you're made and you're wired. But I would say this: if you're in that middle category, that is the settlers, please be attentive to the changes that are making, and maybe out of your comfort zone, you need to be at the front end of that and be analyzing, what are the shifts? What is about this wave, this momentum, these changes do I need to get ready for and prepare myself to make the changes when I'm ready? I'm not saying you change your personality. Some people just want to see more proof. There's also a category that I think it matters in this conversation of catching waves, that they're called the laggards, and they're not going to move. They're not going to approve of any changes because they just believe what they believe, and the old way was the way, and they're going to kind of go down with that ship, and that's fine if that's where you are. And you just want to say, I'm not pivoting. I'm staying where I am. What we had was good, and we're going to stick there. That is fine if you choose to do this. The wave may crash you. It may cause you to dwindle. It may do all kinds of things. But that's one reaction, one choice that you could make. And those people generally are not they're not going to change, and they're going to stick with what they have. Wherever you are in that category, I would say there's opportunity right now, especially from the middle to the front end, to make changes. All of the shifts that are happening right now, there is so much energy for change. And change equals growth. When you think of a mining for gold paradigm, and I, whoever you are, looking to see the gold in people and discover what gifts they carry and how God made them and how they're to reveal Christ in the earth, or how they bear fruit naturally. In this COVID-19 reality, it's time to look inside and look around us as what treasures do people carry, and what treasures might I carry for the current wave that we're in. Maybe you make surfboards, using that analogy. Maybe you are on the radio and you can sound out, the waves are perfect, get out there, and you're there. Maybe you're a lifeguard and you're out there and you catch surfers that get gurgling and going under and rescue them and get them back to safety. Maybe you're a film crew that films, surfers who train others. Maybe you're the surfer who's out there showing the way. Maybe you're a little student that needs to get into a class on surfing because surfing is the thing. Wherever you find yourself when a wave is coming, whatever your gifts are, whatever your sweet spot, it's important to ask, what is this wave, this momentum, this change for? I've been reading like you have and watching and just paying attention to so many different data points. Hearing podcasts. I love different leadership podcasts. Carrie Nieuwhof has a beautiful one that I really, really enjoy, and they're just been so helpful. I think it's important, instead of just watching what all of them are saying, to pause, to pray, to look inside and say, what changes do I need to make? And our organization, our family, whatever you're considering, need to make. Where am I in this whole wave that's coming? And how do I bring the gold that I carry to build up other people, to make life better? I see tons and tons of people posting here online for the first time. I just think that's fantastic. I've made some changes and I'm implementing new places to share content here in the digital world. I'm in my own wave surfing class, if you will, in the digital world. So that's the first thing I want to say, is just find out what you're carrying. Think about how what you are, the gold you carry, the wisdom that you have can be applied to bless others right now. Maybe it's start something new. Maybe it's share some wisdom that you got through a blog or a YouTube channel, or do something digitally. Maybe it's just connect with a friend and encourage them. So here are some things as we're kind of bringing this to a close. First is weigh out the changes that are in front of you. Wherever we are in the risk factor, if we're high risk, ready, fire, aim kind of personalities, or we're back at the back end of that pioneer place, that is not as important as slow down enough to say what is needed in this change. What is needed for me to pivot in this change? What's the need for us to pivot in this change? That's how you catch waves, because the energy that's in the change can carry you, but only if you've oriented your board towards where the change is going. So I would say several things is we're going to see way more online everything after this. I would also say there's going to be more caution around personal health and probably all kinds of innovative health things coming up related to screening or predicting or watching for one of these pandemics that don't catch us by surprise. I think churches are going to pivot and look differently. Businesses certainly are going to look different. I was reading an article this morning about restaurants and those in the hospitality industry are pivoting and thinking of new ways that they're going to evaluate how they do their business. I think Panera Bread just added groceries put in with your deliverable meal that they could give you, some milk and some fresh bread and some olive oil or something. What an innovative concept. Things, when change is coming and the wave is happening, it's an opportunity for all kinds of new ideas, new leadership practices, new innovations to come. So weigh out what's there. Another podcast I saw had that entrepreneurs, I think that this was the same Mark Cuban one, that entrepreneurs thrive on this stuff. So that if that's where you are, great. But if you're not an entrepreneur, I still don't think you can ignore the changes and at least look out into the sea and look where the waves are going in your industry. Look for where the waves are going for you personally, emotionally, where you are in your station of life. What changes? Here's the key, I would say, coaching question in this current state of COVID-19. What lessons might the Lord or the circumstances in front of you be inviting you to learn, be wanting to teach you that you need to digest and fully grasp and understand for for the days that are coming, for the days ahead. In addition to that, I would say another question is what might God be inviting me into that's new and fresh and unique and that I've never experienced before, or maybe I have pondered and thought about before, but I never did anything about it. Take the time to analyze where the wave of these changes are going in your industry, in what you do, and in your individual life. I find when I can discern where changes that God is making and I align myself with those changes and surf with it, His energy, His power, His wisdom takes me places that I could have never gotten there on my own. It's called the grace of God. It's His ability to change us and move us and gift us and teach us. So I would say that, find where the waves are going. I would also say capitalize on waves and the momentum and the power that they bring. They are there. They are powerful. You got to be wise. Now, I want to say this. I did want to mention this, that when you get up for your first time, even on little waves, you'll probably fall down a bunch of times. You would do that skiing or water skiing or whatever you're going to do. You're going to make mistakes. That's okay. I mean, make some mistakes. Because that's sort of the price that you pay for change and moving towards thriving in what's coming is simply trying things and experimenting. And we used to say at GE, throw a bunch of things up against the wall and see what sticks. Experiment right now. That's one way you move towards the wave that's in front of you. But be wise about how big the change is. That's why I say weigh them out. You don't want to put everything on the line if you build a business for pure speculation. Obviously, if you're a good business person, you want to find out, what do you have? What's going on? Where might this change affect? Get some other minds around it. Get your team and ask some opinions. Research what other people are saying in the industry. Follow where the wave is going and the trends so you make an informed decision and you mine for the gold basically that is in the wave. There is gold in this wave. Believe it or not, as scary, as difficult, as financially challenging, emotionally unsettling this is, there's gold in this COVID-19 crisis. Please hear that. If you have eyes to see it and if you know where to look. And that's what I'm trying to help with today. So lastly, just to finish up, we are in a colossal wave of change. It may have hit your area in a minimal way if it doesn't really affect you that much, or it may have rocked your world and it's just going to be what would I say, a apocalyptic event that's going to shift either your business doesn't make it through or you're going to have to go back to school. I don't know what all is going to happen. I remember in 2008, good friends of mine that were business people left one industry and went into another and never went back. I mean, this kind of economic change can be just cataclysmic. But please hear that God is with you in those changes, and even if stuff radically shifts, God says in Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans that I have for you. They're plans for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. You will find me if you seek me right now with all of your heart. Jeremiah 29:12. So know that that's there. And then the last thing, paddle in the direction in your area of whatever you do where the wave is going. Find out. Look for trends, do some research, Google some things, talk to different friends who are in the same industry. Hear where things are going so that you can capitalize and then particularly, I would say, be ready and be moving with the waves so you're just not stationary. One time, I was out in the waves in Wilmington and I just wasn't paying attention in a major wave. I'm stationary. I mean, it just knocked me silly. And, I got sand all over. I'm coughing up seawater. I wasn't paying attention and the wave just knocked me silly. That would be really sad to me right now, to miss this wave by not paying attention. Please pay attention. See where the wave is going. Orient your life, your leadership, what you do towards it, and then paddle towards it and get to know it. Get up on your board. Try something you've never done. It's wobbly at first, but try it. Try something else. Try something else. If you're not much of a risk taker, just try one thing and then see how it feels. But don't just stand still in the midst of this amount of change and try to just hunker down and hold on. I think you'll miss a great opportunity. Then ride it as far as it'll take you. You know, I had no idea when I first had the concept to create this workshop, and Beth helped me put it all together, called Mining for Gold. We first called it Leadership Through Coaching. What a clunky name is that? Then we improved it to Empowering Leadership, which is a course we still run, which is all the principles of Mining for Gold. And then it turned into, it's helped so many people. You know, I had a friend recommend to a friend to write a book, and I got a contract with InterVarsity and wrote a book, and now releasing videos, you know, and content out there, and I'm connecting with people all over. This wave that came for me in the area of coaching, leadership coaching, I'm still riding the thing. And I think this particular, let me just say this as a leadership coach, this particular shift we're in is an absolute divine window of time to grow as a leader. My next one I'm going to do has to do with upgrades, leadership upgrades. And I'm going to share about what it means to go from one level of aircraft to another. I'll use that in my next one. But on this first one, Gold Nugget number 1, it's ride the wave. Don't miss the incredible opportunity that's in this wave by being afraid or unwilling to try some things. See how far it takes you. Find where the energy goes. Look where the fruit is. If there's no fruit over here, don't do that. If you do this one move and you collapse every time, fine. But if you're starting to learn your balance and try this and try that, get skilled, develop some leadership skills out of this for the new paradigm that you're going to be in, and develop one. Here's one key thing: is an agile, adaptive form of leadership. There's the whole word agile leadership. You can Google it. Is out there. It's important to develop those kinds of skills in a world that's changing as rapidly as it is in these days. The last thing I would just say is have some fun with this. I know that might not be a word you're thinking of right now, but please, I firmly believe that if things aren't fun and I can't enjoy them over time, I can't sustain them. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of leaders, and I've said this over and over. What does not bring you life and some amount of joy and energy, you can't sustain over time. You can't just do it out of your own willpower or discipline. Discipline's important. Great surfers are extremely disciplined in what's important, but they're also creative once they get out there on that wave. And, you know, just have some fun. So I think surfing, I don't know how to do it, you know, but it looks so much fun. The way they can move out there and follow that energy. I like sometimes just watch the videos of it, or ever seen kite surfers, you know, or picking up the energy of a kite and surfing the waves. It's incredible stuff. So I just want to thank you for tuning in. These are just going to be 30-minute or less conversations on leadership. They're called Gold Nuggets. This is Gold Nugget number 1. Catch the wave. I hope it's been helpful for you. If it's helpful for in any way that you think this is good, you can pass it on to others. There's lots of resources out there. You can check out miningforgold.org, which is a resource that we created with some videos on there, and learn more about the principles. You can purchase a book there if you'd like. They're available on Amazon. And then also tomcamacho.org, CAMACHO.org has resources, talks about coaching. If you're interested in any level of coaching, you can connect and look at information there. There's also a master class I'm getting ready to release right now in the UK, where I'm taking people in a digital format on Zoom through 13 weeks of going deep into your calling, what you were created for, how you're designed, what God's called you to, and the principles of mining for gold. People are really excited, and I'm excited to do the first one here in the first part of May. So you can check that out also. But these are just an offering to help you. I hope they're beneficial. I love the topic of leadership, so I'm just going to keep churning these out, and I hope they bring something good for you. God bless you. Enjoy the wave, ride it out there, and see where it takes you.